Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live today. Sierra is going to be hopping on soon, and we're going to talk about how to handle, how to get a handle on emotional eating while getting to the root cause. So, you are here because you have defined yourself as an emotional eater. And you eat when you're not hungry. You eat when you have difficult emotions, when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're stressed, all the things. You lean on food to help give you comfort, provide for you, bring you some kind of release and safety. So that is why we're talking about this. This is why you are here, because you are using food to handle your emotions. So welcome. We appreciate you being here. Sierra and I are here to support you, guide you, help you, because we've been where you are. I was an emotional eater. I ate my emotions. I did not like um, did not like feeling them, and I have worked through that. And we do that by, yes, we can use food, we use nutrition. At the same time, we really get into the root cause, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like, where is this all coming from? Where all of this emotional eating actually coming from? Why do we do it in the first place? And I think having an understanding of why we do what we do helps us then create the change that we need to do to actually resolve it and heal it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Sierra and I are veggie loving. We love vegetables and we love donuts. So we like the balance. We don't focus too much on like what we eat. We really focus on how we're eating our food. Who are we showing up as at the dinner table? And we want you to have that same balance of like eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're not, and not allowing food to be this all-consuming, controlling thing in your life, because we know how that is as well. Of only thinking about food as soon as you wake up until you go to bed, and it's like this over analyzing, and you're judging yourself, and it's just like this chaos. So we are eating psychology coaches, mind body nutrition coach. Sierra is a diet recovery coach, because if you are here and if you are an emotional eater, you probably have dieted at some point, and Sierra is trained in that, of helping you get out of this diet cycle. And so let's dive in. Thank you so much for being here. We also just want to let you know, like, we help busy, stressed out women overcome emotional eating, so that you stop obsessing with food and just eat normal. That's the main purpose, right? We hear that all the time. I just want to eat normal. Well, what is normal? We just want to eat normal. We don't want to have to go to food for everything, for comfort. So we are here to teach you how to eat normal. And today, so how to get a handle on your emotional eating while getting to the root cause. Let's get into this. So today, the root cause, majority of the times, is just like, think about this. Like, what triggers you to go to food? Think about it. If you are watching live or watching the replay, we would love to hear from you. Go ahead and comment for us. Like, what triggers you to eat? Is it emotions? Is it this trauma that's built up inside of you? Is it certain people, certain foods? Is it certain situations? Is it work? Is it stress, anxiety? Like, really think about, what is it that makes me want to turn to food and feel this comfort and ease? Because once you start to understand these triggers, then you're able to like work on that. And majority of the time, so today we're really talking about triggers and trauma, because that's where the root really comes from. Where do our traumas come from? Where do all these problems come from? Majority of the time from the past. So if we have unresolved trauma in our body, then we are unresolved emotions that haven't been felt from like childhood, you are going to do most likely emotionally eat. So do you want to add anything real quick, Sierra?
Because I think Nicole just asked, what is normal eating?
Yeah,
And
great question.
yeah, that's a great question. And what is normal eating? That's beautiful. Let's address it right now. Normal eating is when you can pretty much go through the day and not really think about food unless you're hungry, right? You're in tune with your body. You're an intuitive eater. You know, it's flexible. There's no really strict rules or restrictions. A normal eater can crave maybe a steak or a salad, sometimes a cookie, but it's just really not a big deal because you trust your body and you're able to move through your day. You're not using food to cover up your emotions. You're not relying on food to cope emotionally. Normal eaters don't use food to cope emotionally. They're not overeating. There's not binge eating. There's really just, there's a healthy balance of food. It's healthy. And you don't really, like Hannah said, you don't really think about it. What would that be like if you just went through your day and were not really thinking about food? You're like, I'm kind of hungry. It's lunchtime. I'm going to go eat. You eat, and then you move on with your life. What would that be like, right? To not have this intense stuff in your head, right? And that's why we're talking about trauma and triggers today, because we want to help you get to the root of what is triggering, or what kind of traumas have you had in your past that might have you using food emotionally rather than other coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because our past has a lot to do with how we handle the present. So if we're still operating from our past traumas, then emotional eating is going to be there to kind of help solve that problem. Mm-hmm. So we haven't dealt with these things that have gone up. And so I just want you to think a minute, like, and thank you for that description, by the way, of normal eating. You know, it's like you eat what you want and you crave what you need. Think about that. Wouldn't that be the best? So think about we can start with food, like the relationship with food as a kid. Like, what was your eating behaviors as children? What was the family environment like? How were your parents' relationship with food? What was the environment that you lived in? Was it a relaxed environment? Was it stressful? Were you able to express yourself? Were you able to express your emotions? Did people talk about your body size? Did you know, like, think about all of these things of like when you were growing up, what was that environment like? Were there a lot of rules? You know, finish your plate. You know, you can't get off the dinner table until you finish everything. Eat your broccoli, eat this, eat that, you know, like, think about it. If we have not really healed that part of our relationship, or even understanding that your parents, your mom might have had a bad relationship with food and dealing with her own stuff, and it got passed down to you because that's what you saw and witnessed, you get to break that cycle. You know, you get to break that cycle, and you get to rewrite how you want to have your relationship with food to be, and how you get to handle your emotions, and how you get to handle those traumas that you were dealt with, because we all are traumatized, you know, as kids. We don't cognitively know enough as children, so we protect ourselves in the best way that we know how to. And how is that? Often is to shut ourselves off, not to feel anything. That's not safe to feel because my parents got mad when I got upset, so I gotta hold this in now, right? Like, all of this stuff affects us, and if we're not able to move through it and express ourselves, then we're going to find other coping mechanisms. And if you have an issue with food in the first place, right, with all these rules and thoughts, and it's chaotic out there with the food world, okay, it's confusing, it's conflicting, so you don't know what to do. So what do? You reach for food, right? So yeah.
No, it's beautiful. Like, just a beautiful description, right? Of, again, we don't have other coping mechanisms. So last week, if you haven't caught last week's live, we talked about, or 2 weeks ago live, we talked about emotional eaters, and typically people that are normal eaters, or why do some people turn to food for emotions and other people don't? One of the number one reasons is because there's some kind of restriction. Okay, so now the clients that we have that have gone through our programs, and Hannah and I now's relationship with emotional eating is, we have there's a stressful event that happens, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, something happened and, you know, my kid got sick, or man, I just saw something bad happen and I'm really stressed, or my boss yelled at me at work, our initial response is not to go eat anymore. Why that is because we're not dieting or restricting, right? So there is triggers and traumas involved in all this. And then there's this dieting component. So if you want to know more about that, go watch the last live we did, because we talked way more in depth about the other reason why we emotionally eat. So check that out. But like Hannah said, if we don't clean up and clear up these past traumas and past triggers, which is what we help people do, emotional eating is going to continue to show up for you regardless of how hard you try, because it's really not about the food. You could be the healthiest, cleanest eater in the whole world, but if you're still restricting and there's still triggers and traumas that haven't been addressed, you're going to keep using food to cope.
Yeah, it's just the cycle that continues, right? So if we don't know how to handle stress, like life stresses, because I think that's the biggest thing that triggers people is stress.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're all stressed out. The world is crazy right now. Like, it makes perfect sense. But if we can start to handle these stresses and move through them and understand, this is how I'm feeling, I'm going to be safe. Like, a lot of our survival instinct is fired up right now. And so if we're living in this survival state, our body cannot relax. It can't heal. So it's going to it's like we're trying to find something to soothe that, to make ourselves relax more. And food is soothing, you know? It's like you got your sweets. Oh, that tastes good. It's delightful. It tastes good and nice. And it makes us feel good for a second. But how can we start to soothe ourselves? How can we start to work on our nervous system to create, no matter what is happening in the outside world, but to create a more steady, calm balance inside of us? That means that we're feeling our emotions. That means we're moving through them. That means that we're able to work the mindset and the mental chaos that's going on in our brain to settle everything down so we can look at things through a different lens and perspective, which then we're able to make different decisions, right? And using different coping mechanisms. So whatever other things, like for me, I love writing and expressing how I'm feeling through writing. And then I even will speak it out, and I'll sometimes even read what I write, because it's helping me release what's going on inside of me. You know, I don't stuff it down with food anymore, which I did, but it's like you just start practicing different things to help you start releasing, because energy or emotions is feelings are emotions and energy and motion, energy and motion, energy and motion. They just need to move.
Exactly. Right. And like, this is what we do, is we teach people other coping mechanisms. So, and we get to the bottom of the trigger, so that food is not the sole coping mechanism you have. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You get to heal. And that's what we're here to help you do. So we have something really exciting that we're going to be sharing with you over the next couple weeks that will help you reach your goals and end emotional eating for good. So stay tuned. So we're so excited. Again, comment below. We would love to hear from you and get to know you guys a little bit more. Tell us, what are your triggers? What things trigger you? Feel free to comment below. And if you are wanting a little bit more support, or maybe you want some help digging into what are your triggers and you want to call with one of us, we do absolutely free complimentary introduction calls called the Food Roadmap Call. So if that's something you're interested in diving into more, please comment below, call. And no sales, no selling. This is really just us getting to know you. So feel free to comment below, call if you're interested in help and you want one of us to help kind of guide you through some of these triggers, or even what's going on with you with food. So we're here for you. Stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.